Welcome back to Just Chattin', and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. For all you Audie fans, he's running around looking for trouble. It's a beautiful sunny day. He was outside a little earlier, and then I think it just got a little too hot for him because it is in the high 80s. So he came back in, and now he's looking for something else to do. So, will we see him in the video? I don't know. I think the chances are pretty good, especially if he doesn't find anything more entertaining somewhere else. Yeah, he'll come back and give us his company. Before we get started on the video, I did want to quickly mention two things. One, the response to that tweet that I shared with you from last August by Edward Fortescue, in which he utterly savaged Nutmeg, entirely justified. The response was amazing. I am glad you enjoyed that comment. I never saw it the first time around because it was reproduced in publications that, although I go to most of these publications on a fairly regular basis, some of them are a little lower on my list, and that's how I missed this out the first time. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to share it with you because so many of you got as much enjoyment out of it as I did. Oh yeah, I'm printing that out and I am going to frame it. I'll probably print it out in a lovely calligraphy font just for Nutmeg. Two, this is probably going to be a little bit shorter than usual because of the sudden change in the weather. The allergens are way up. So I guess basically the air quality is not all that good. I am feeling it really badly today. So I guess the sort of 2A as we go down our list is, yes, I might have to make some cuts in the video. I promise I'll do it with transitions. I won't make it difficult for you, but I've been stopping to blow my nose every 30-40 seconds. So we'll see how that works out. But again, part of the reason it's going to have to be a little short. We are going to take a quick look at the intro, and that's just going to be 22 seconds, and then we'll be right back. So, let me start off with an interesting article I came across in the Daily Beast. It was written by Tom Sykes, and Tom Sykes is probably going to be familiar to many of you because he's been writing about Nutmeg and the sock puppet for a while. His original coverage started off as pretty favorable, and he seems to be moving away from that over time. Regardless, the proposition he is putting forth is that Charles and Harry are coordinating their activities, that there is some sort of behind-the-scenes communication between the two of them, that they're in cahoots. I mean, I guess that's the simplest way to put it, that Charles wants Harry back in the royal fold, Harry wants to go back, and they're just playing games behind the scenes to make it easier for this to happen. And he cited as his evidence the fact that Harry made some statements in the Ukraine that were very much echoed in what Charles later said in the U.S., and vice versa. Charles made some statements in the U.S. that were later echoed by Harry. Pretty slim evidence, in my opinion. Well, I wouldn't even call it evidence. I would say it's pretty slim. The sock puppet has a very limited number of topics he can speak on. And when he starts speaking on current events, it's because somebody else has written the script for him. This guy is not a political scientist. He is not a social scientist. He's not any kind of scientist at all. He really has no place in the global arena when he starts talking about major issues. Just, you might as well get my cat up there talking about it, because my cat is at least as qualified as the sock puppet, possibly more so. So someone else is prepping Harry. Someone else is giving him his talking points. This isn't him. Could it be King Charles? Well, you know what? Charles is not the sharpest tack in the box either. So, is he doing this? Very much doubt it. Very much. I don't find this credible. Well, I mean, I guess you figured that out already. I don't find this credible. I think it's coincidental. I think you take a person who is not a world leader. Charles is not a world leader. Charles is the representative of a government that does have a position on the world stage. But that's as far as it goes. World leader Charles is a major stretch. Harry is nobody. And getting two people who are echoing the same talking points, I would say, would that be surprising? No. I would think anyone hitting the world stage right about now would be talking about war in the Ukraine and climate change. I just don't find it that intrinsically unique to either Charles or Harry or their relationship. Now, having said that, let me say this too, because you know I follow the Royal Grift. I love her research. She's been saying for years that they are, in fact, in cahoots. That Nutmeg and the sock puppet are in the United States on basically what I'm assuming is sort of a covert operation. I don't know I do not know what it is they are supposed to be doing. With Trump in the White House, I can't imagine there are that many doors open to them, but regardless, I know the Royal Grift has spoken about this many times, and as I've said before, I love her research, and she is right more often than she is wrong. This happens to be one point on which I disagree with her conclusions, with respect, of course, but I don't see that either Charles or Harry are clever enough to come up with a plot like this, which would have to be orchestrated by people with a lot more gray matter than those two put together. Just saying. And in any case, whatever it was that was supposed to be going on clearly has not been a success. So I did want to throw that out, because when the Royal Grift is saying it all by herself, even though she's been saying it for a couple of years, it's something that can be dismissed. But when the Daily Beast, mainstream media adjacent, is saying it too, maybe we should start paying a little more attention to this and see if there is some fire behind all this smoke. So, on to Nutmeg now. Nutmeg is going to be in Switzerland. She's probably there already, at the invitation of Tedros Ghebreyesus. I've butchered that. I know I have butchered that. I will write it up and put it on the screen for you. This is the Director General of the World Health Organization, and we saw him with Nutmeg and the sock puppet when they were in Jordan. And what's going on is they are having this lost screen memorial. This is where they put up electronic images of young people who are no longer with us as a result of social media harms. I have to be super careful about how I say this, because I've got very strong opinions on this issue, and I need to keep them out of this video. So Nutmeg is there to deal with this this memorial. You know what it is? It's kind of like was a performance art thing. You know, they put up screens, the screens have images, and then it comes down again and moves on somewhere else. In my generation, well, we didn't put up screens. Maybe we did. In my generation, that was sort of performance art. That was the general category of it. So I would assume this was organized as part of that Jordan adventure, because, you know, Nutmeg has never wasted an opportunity to get a repeat performance out of someone she deems important. So, Director General of the World Health Organization, of course, she's going to see that as her ticket to a global platform. So, that's where she's going. And a photo comes out of Nutmeg with her putative child, Lilibet. They are in this closet. People have described the closet as being full of fabulous designer clothing. Frankly, I couldn't detect that from the photograph. It just looked like one of those upscale closets to me, with a child barefoot as always, sitting at Nutmeg's feet doing heaven only knows what, and Nutmeg is clearly basking in the adulation. Gosh, nothing like having your kids get down on their hands and knees in front of you, is there? People magazine ran that story, and that, by the way, is something I basically cribbed from one of the viewer comments on that photo. They were savage. And keep in mind, People magazine is not attracting the attention of the Megxit community. This is not their demographic, because they are putting out very, very favorable, virtually public relations puff pieces for Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet. So it's not where you would expect our community to show up. So I don't think this was a bunch of cranky Megxiteers sharing their opinion. I think what we are seeing now is the opinions of the mainstream public, the readers of People magazine. And everybody was looking at this saying, this is shameful. You know, she got her kid there at her feet. The thing that occurred to me in this is that she is going off to open an exhibit dedicated to young people harmed by social media. And what does she do? First thing she does, posts yet another picture of her own putative children. So I thought we'd just take a quick look at how this has evolved. Mostly because nothing they're doing, either Nutmeg or the Sock Puppet, nothing they're doing is of any real value or interest at the moment. So these are those rare opportunities when we can back off their current headline grabs and take a look at things in perspective. So let's climb into the Wayback Machine and start off with the putative child, Archie. When this child was born, Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet hid the information, not just from the public, not just from the media, but from the royal family as well. Hid that information involving the child's alleged birth. They went to a non-standard hospital. I'm not saying it was a bad hospital. It's just this isn't ordinarily where mothers in the royal family went for their maternity care. Regardless, everybody has the right to make their choices, but the birth of the child, or at least the alleged birth of the child, was withheld for so long that Nutmeg and the Sock Puppet were allegedly home from the hospital with the baby in tow, while the palace was still putting out information saying that, you know, they were in the hospital and the baby was due. Yeah, so the palace ends up with egg on their face. which I'm sure pleased Nutmeg. I bet that was a happy little side benefit. But there were no photos on the hospital steps. And this was done, traditionally. Catherine did it, Anne did it, Diana did it. Fergie did it with her kids, and they were pretty far down the line of succession. It's something one does for the benefit of the public when you present them with someone who might one day sit on the throne. Fortunately for all of us, those little Wales children are so healthy. Oh, warms my heart. And not just for the sake of the fact that I love those children, but for what they are protecting us from. So we had all of that mishigas around the baby's alleged birth. And between that and the ever-transitional baby bump, always migrating, going on walkabouts, certainly led to a lot of the speculation that later cropped up about whether or not Nutmeg actually gave birth to this child. The initial photographs were a partial face, a bit of a profile, and after that, Nutmeg released a photo of baby toes. It's like, look, you want a picture of my baby? Here you go. And she defended this by saying that she was not serving up her children to the very people who called her children the N-word. And yeah, that didn't happen. I'm not saying nobody ever said anything bad behind closed doors, but it wasn't the royal family, it wasn't the media, it wasn't the general public in any sense. It was not even something that I think the average person would have tolerated if someone else said it in front of them. So that was a complete lie. She just didn't want to share because there was no paycheck in it for her. The reason that she did not bring the baby out on the public steps of the hospital was because she had promised an exclusive to Gayle King. There was undoubtedly a paycheck involved in this, but you can get that information from Tom Bower's book, Revenge. And later, of course, Gayle King's good friend, Oprah, did an interview. So you're starting to see the way Nutmeg stacks one deal on another. She did allow the putative child Archie to be photographed in South Africa, but that seems to have been explicitly for the purpose of showing him with Bishop Tutu, which, I don't know. Obviously, she wasn't drawing a paycheck from that, but she was getting her brand enhanced with her child, the bishop, a woman who was embracing her Black identity. This was something that was good for her. Subsequently, the child, Lilibet, had photos taken, allegedly, at the Queen's Jubilee. Those photos were published. Why? Because people were booing her at the Queen's Jubilee, and she needed to do some damage control. So here's a picture of my baby. Then very much nothing. And then, when she needs this to enhance her brand, she is back to merchandising the children again. We are seeing pictures of these kids regular as clockwork. She is throwing it out there. Is she throwing out the children in actual identifiable photographs? No. The back of somebody's head, the side of somebody's face. I think there are a couple of reasons for this. I think she does it because she foolishly believes that if she creates an aura of mystery around the putative children, we will become more interested. But she's overplayed that. And the fact is, we are becoming bored. We are becoming completely desensitized to this. And I think the other part of it, this is just my opinion, that if you don't necessarily have the actual kids in question with you living in your home, and you are perhaps hiring actors, models, relying a great deal on Photoshop, it would probably be in your best interest to make sure there are no clear photos of these kids available. And I would have to say, that's where I'm leaning. So we are seeing a lot of this. However, in this particular instance, when she is throwing out the photo of the child, particularly in that pose, kneeling at her putative mother's feet, on the eve of going off to open an exhibition dedicated to children harmed by social media, and this is out on social media, you've really got to question what she is thinking. Because the simple truth is, that would be inappropriate under most circumstances, but in the context of doing a presentation on the harms inflicted by social media on children, wow, is that in bad taste. And the thing is, I think people are starting to catch on. And if they are, great. I'm glad she's gotten carried away with her bad taste. Sometimes you really have to drown people in it before they wake up to what you're doing. And if that's what it takes, yeah, keep it up, Nutmeg. Eventually, give that woman enough rope, she's sure to hang herself. But I did want to share that with you. I think we need to keep the perspective in mind that she has always used the children when it benefited her. And if it doesn't seem to benefit her, oh well, not going to happen. All right, that is what I have for you today. Thank you for being with us. I hope to see you all next time. And in the meanwhile, have a terrific day.